Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Insightful Principles. Today on the show, I actually have Carolina Luna here on the show today. And what we're going to talk about is how you can make yourself and your business more valuable by building a personal brand. And Carolina, she definitely has, 20 plus years of experience throughout the photography industry. And she also works currently now as a personal brand and a creative director photographer. So she's going to share a lot of her insight and just some, great information on how you can be able to take your business to the next level by building a personal brand. But with that being said, welcome, Carolina. I'm glad that you're here on the show today.
I'm happy to be here, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Of course, no problem at all. But to get things started here, if you can kind of just share with everyone a little bit about your background and experiences.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been a photographer, like you said, for a long time. I picked up the camera when I was probably around 15, 16 years old, and I knew instantly that I wanted to be a photographer. But my path brought me to study advertisements. I went to college for social communications. Then, back in 1997, I decided to just sell my car and come to US. And not necessarily I had a plan, Kevin. I came here with the money from my Fiat Uno, a luggage, and no plan. So funny enough, I went to California for a while, and then I ended up in New York. And my first job here was in a portrait studio, very cookie cutting setting, but it was a portrait studio inside the Kmart studios. Kmart had a space in their locations where they had small place that they leased for this company, a Midwest company that was huge in portraiture. So it was a corporate job, nonetheless, and I started at minimum wage as a studio associate. And because I had this passion for photography, my photography just sold really well. And then I soon enough became a studio manager. Then I became a photographic trainer for the company. I started floating around, started assisting the district manager, got promoted to district management position, and then finally, within 3 years, I became a district manager myself. And I was running all the metropolitan studios inside the retailer for about 3-4 years until I actually got married and then had my first son and decided to open my own business. So that's pretty much my story. From cookie cutting portrait studio portraiture to now being personal branding photographer and having my own business. It's been a journey, Kevin, I have to say.
Yeah, no, I could imagine, and I think it's just great, just seeing your journey as far as even with reading more about your background, how you also got started with family portraits and being able to kind of move here from Brazil and actually just have faith in yourself and your abilities to be able to build a business. And I kind of want to get more into just your passion and purpose around just photography and wanting to make that shift to personal branding, because I did kind of notice when I was looking at your website how you talked about how you really started with family portraits, but then you realized you had that passion around personal branding. What was kind of some of those initial interests that kind of really driven you to want to learn more about developing a skill set around personal branding?
Okay, awesome. That's a great question because my the way that I found personal branding was very synchronistic. I was going through a major life change, and that was about 2014 when I knew exactly that I didn't want to continue doing family portraiture. I had a personal change in my life that, I was actually going through a divorce. And I knew that from that point on, I also wanted to reinvent myself. So it was a point in my life that was very pivotal for me to step into what I really love doing, and then do it in a big way. So I got very interested in the field of self-development, spirituality, entrepreneurship. I was studying a lot, online, in the online space. I was also doing a lot of things towards finding that mojo again. You know what I mean? And during a coaching program, one of my first big ticket coaching programs, where I was working with a coach specializing in the photography business, but pretty much she was more towards boudoir photography, women photography, but she was a very well-known and experienced coach. In this program, which I entered thinking I wanted to get into personal development and use photography as a tool to empower women to express themselves and find the beauty within. That was my thing. I was hosting already and building a community of women here on Long Island, where I live, and hosting women's circles on a regular basis in a regular, like at least once a month. I used to bring speakers, and we sit in circle, we learn from each other, create sacred space and all that stuff. So I said, I'm going to use photography to empower women by allowing them to see the beauty within themselves and express themselves and see like the divinity within. That was my thing. But then towards the end of the program, this coaching program, one of the examples that the coach brought for a website, of a good website for us to model and mimic or get inspired by, was a personal branding photographer. And I was like, personal branding photography, what is that? I started looking. I said, wait a minute. Here we have photography, which I love, and that's my thing. We have marketing. Wait, I have a marketing background. I went to school for advertising. I have a bachelor's degree in social communications. And here it's a piece of transformation, because when you actually build a personal brand, you have to know who you are so you can express it out, you can communicate that to your audience. You have to get in touch with even labeling, although we hate labels. I hate labels, but you gotta love labels for marketing, because you wanted to allow people to understand who you are and how to explain who you are to others, if that might be the case, right? But then I saw personal branding and said, wow, this is it for me. I can do everything that I love, that I'm good at, combine that into a business. I will be happy for the rest of my life. So that's pretty much how I found personal branding. It was synchronistic. It was a combination of everything that I adore, that I'm passionate about, and it supports my mission. I consider myself a mission-driven entrepreneur or a human being. My mission is to show people their true self, their authenticity, their core energy. A lot of people tend to, put others first, right? And especially women. We're nurturers, we're multitaskers, we're always doing things, putting others first in a way. I'm not saying men don't do that. But I really had this passion to working with women, because I've seen how, they are conditioned to put others first and don't look at inside themselves to see what they really want. So I thought photography and personal branding would be a great tool for that. So that's how I got here. And a long story short, but I got into personal branding because I just fell in love with the whole concept of helping people to shine bright so they can attract more ideal clients, so they can just show up and be authentic online and naturally magnetize their tribe, just like I did when I was, all passionate and understanding who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up in the world.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I know often, you talked about just Seth Godin, marketing mogul, and how, he really explains a brand of being more of like a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships put together that impact a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. And I think that's really, what you're detailing. And, I kind of wanted to get your take on just that quote and what that really means, and also why it's important for entrepreneurs to have a personal brand strategy when it comes to just creating more credibility, around their product or service.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that quote by Seth, because really marketing, if you think about it, it is about creating memories, right? Marketing, let's simplify marketing first of all, because marketing for a lot of people give them this, marketing simply putting yourself or a product in front of the audience that needs it or the consumer that needs it. So, and also a lot of people get confused. What is brand and branding? So brand is a set of memories, right? That we recall when we think about a personal brand. It's the memory of a person, right? And a brand is a set of memories about a product or service. So, for example, when we speak about Apple or Tesla, right? The core, I guess you think about innovation, technology, being like early adopters of technology. You think about efficiency. With Tesla, you think about their mission to make a more sustainable world, right? Those are memories that are imprinted in our heads, right? We think about those things naturally when we interact with brand. We think about what are the memories that are created about that person, that service, or the product. Now, in order for us to have a brand memory, we have to have branding. The branding is the process of creating those memories. They say that, I learned that a long time ago, that for us to be impressed by a memory and start remembering a brand, you have to be exposed to it a certain amount of times. It's 3 or 7 times until you actually remember something about it, right? And the same thing. So when you are using photography or you are using you wanted to create a brand, you have to impress people with memories about you. And that's where we come in, creating video content that shows your personality, creating photography that shows you as a multidimensional being doing different things, but also curate that experience. Because in the beginning, like I said, we hate labels, but we do our clients a favor by creating specific memories about us so they can remember us. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs that show up without knowing what to say or just sharing different things. And that's okay, but you're going to create my thing is to help my clients and entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, speakers, and people in the transformational field. I'm passionate about that because I was very impressed by coaches in my life. I love self-development. So I chose to be kind of my niche of expertise. I live and breathe personal development, and I know so much about the coaching industry. So I see that people are just building their business unconsciously. So they don't know what to talk about them. They don't know what to post. The communication's everywhere. They're speaking generic language. So what happens in that case? You get lost. You get lost in the sea of the sameness, right? Because there's a lot of competition there. There's a lot of people doing the same thing. There's a lot of people using the generic language. But when you start curating your brand experience for your audience by being conscious of what you communicate, how you show up, how you present yourself, now through your branding, you're curating your brand experience. You're making it easier for your audience to understand who you are, what's the essence of you, what's important about you, what messages you want to convey, what do you look like, right? So through your branding, you create the brand experience. And then once your audience is impacted enough with those set of memories, then you create a solid personal brand, right?
Yeah.
So Jeff Bezos says, a brand is what people talk about you when you're not in the room. So that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, no, that is so true. And I definitely think what you said about curating a brand experience, I think that's really important when you are providing value with your content. And I think I'm victim of it as well, of kind of just building this brand with insightful principles, how sometimes you can just get so lost in building a business where you don't have content centered around yourself and who you are and what your mission and purpose is when it comes to what you're creating in the world. So I think it's so important. And I want to kind of get your thoughts, since you're actively in the industry and you work with a lot of different people, whether it's authors or speakers or small business owners. What are some of the questions that entrepreneurs need to ask themselves when it comes to just positioning their brand online?
Okay. First of all, that I love the question, and I'm glad you asked, because one of the important things that an entrepreneur, a coach, business owners need to understand is who they serve. Who is their, who are their listeners, who's the audience, who's the consumer of their product or service. Okay. So, and by the way, Kev, business branding and personal branding, they go hand in hand, they fold over each other, but they're a little different. Okay. So again, about impressions. Business branding, you're making the impressions about your service, your products, your location, how you solve problems for your clients. Personal branding, you come as a person. Now you are the product, you are the service, you are the vessel of transformation per se. You as a coach, right? You're going to facilitate the transformation for your client. If you wanted to communicate your brand, who you are, the essence of you, the problems you solve for your clients, if you don't know who your client is, then you're in trouble, because then again, we create that generic language, or you might be attracting the wrong clients, or you might not even be marketing yourself in the right place. Remember, marketing is about putting yourself or your service in front of the people that need it. So number one problem there, if you don't know who your audience is, how do you gonna know where to market yourself and put yourself there to be found? So here, branding pretty much, and personal branding, is to make yourself available for the people that need you. There's consumers everywhere. We're bombarded by brands, right? But people are sometimes actively looking for a problem to be solved. Sometimes they're unconsciously living and hanging out with their problem in the back of their heads. But here's the thing. People that shy away from the limelight and do not put themselves out there, they're never going to be exposed to the people that are looking for them. So that's why visibility is really important. Visibility, what I try to teach my clients, because I had that problem myself in the past. I was a little against social media. I was a bit of a rebel. I didn't want to put my personal stuff there. But then I realized through this process that we have to change our mindset. we're not showing up online because of status. I mean, some people are. Some people want all titles and fame, but most of us coaches and entrepreneurs, the reason why we got in business is to help people. If you don't show up as an act of service, you can have the best product, service, idea, or program in the world. But if people cannot find you, if people don't see you, if your photo and your video is not there, people are not going to connect with you. They're not going to find you. Again, you can have the best product in the world. If you don't market, you have nothing.
No, that's true. And I think you do have to know your audience, and you have to, also just be having just a mindset of just giving value, and not really looking for anything in return, but just staying consistent on just creating and nurturing your community. And that's really what I think about whenever I'm creating content, or, just building my personal brand, is letting people know who I am, and really just adding the value at the end of the day. And, I did kind of want to get just your thought process on, when you are working with people, what are typically some of the challenges that you see with people that either come to you and they need help, maybe deciphering between a business brand and a personal brand, or what are some of the challenges in general that you tend to see with working with clients on, why they need to focus on actually putting this type of strategy in their business?
Okay, yes, I see a lot of business owners. So they have a business brand and they're thinking about, they're considering personal branding, right? And a lot of the people that I work with, they have that challenge. They don't know how to start putting themselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big research by the brand group that was conducted last year, extensive research. And one of the things, especially among millennial consumers, they wanted to know the values of the company. They wanted to know who's the CEO, who's the founder. They are making intelligent, conscious decisions who they wanted to associate themselves with. So they value knowing who's behind the company, who's driving the decisions, who's the founder, CEO, what kind of, that lifestyle they have, what kind of beliefs, what they wanted to be part of a culture, not just consumers. So the consumers today, they're much more conscious, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my point is, if you have a business brand, you can benefit from having a personal brand. They fold over each other, okay? So for example, right now I'm working with clients who has a healthcare wellness business, acupuncture business. And he is also a very multidimensional person, gives back to the community, very involved in the arts. He's a musician, right? So now we're trying to, our goal is to infuse more of him as the founder into his business practice. It's a medical practice, actually. But we're starting to infuse more of him over there as the founder and CEO, though he takes insurance for his clients. Now we're kind of adding more like a founders, emphasizing that, and also adding one-to-one private services that he can do on the side within the practice. And then from that, we're going to also be building a separate personal brand, because now we're looking at the long-term goals. We're thinking 2 years down the road, 5 years, 10 years, 15, where you want it to be. Are you going to take all this wealth of knowledge and do something about it, or are you going to just stay this forever? So the idea is to build authority with your personal brand, build valuation for your company. I'm actually in a mergers and acquisitions group now, and I'm learning a lot about that. It's important for the founder to make themselves more valuable, build authority in their industry so they can build the valuation of their company. If one of the long-term goals will be to sell the company, then you're adding more on the bottom line. If you are valuable, you make your company more valuable. And again, it's about curating your brand, building authority, right? Positioning yourself as the expert in your field of expertise, communicating, backing that up. This is not about make-believe stories. I only work with people that are authentic. They truly have a passion. They're mission-driven people. Those are the ones that I wanted to help build their personal brand, to help build the valuation of their business, to make themselves more valuable as they should be, because they have a wealth of knowledge. So they can start marketing themselves and make that available. You gotta show more of what you wanted to do more of. So if you are writing a book, if you wanted to speak on the stages, you need to start showing that now, so people see that it's available for them to consume. To see that you are available for speaking engagements, for you to procure a publisher for your book, for you to, create a community, for you to teach online, for you to have a podcast and have people that actually wanted to hear from you because they know who you are. They know you have cool things to share.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No, I think you're really hitting on a lot of important points. And when you talked about, the mergers and acquisitions, I know that's how we initially connected through Cal Griffith, and he has M&A network, which really helps a lot of business owners, either want to buy or sell small businesses. So I do think of it from that aspect, like you said, when you're building a personal brand. You look at the Jeff Bezos, you look at the Tim Cooks with Apple and Amazon, they have these billion-dollar valuations because of when you see that product or that service, you automatically have an image in your head of who the person is. So I think it just kind of adds more equity, so to speak, on the bottom line, like you said. So I think that's so important. And I wonder, as far as, I know with a lot of the creative process, when you are working with clients, you typically give them the option of either like a professional or a lifestyle photo shoot. I would be intrigued to know, like, what is the purpose of each as like a positioning tool when it comes to just like building a personal brand online.
Okay. So first, let me clarify a little bit. What's the difference between a photography session and a personal brand photography session? Okay. As you know, today everybody's a photographer. Everybody with a camera can take, with an iPhone or a cell phone can take a pretty decent picture. There's a lot of content creators out there doing a phenomenal job. It's mind-blowing when I scroll my Instagram and I see the quality of the photos that people are able to publish. And that's great. And that's photography and video is so accessible to everybody. But here's the thing. Personal branding is a little more intentional than just doing pretty photographs. Personal branding is an act of branding, right? You're marketing yourself. So pretty much you are positioning yourself as whatever that is. Let's again refer as a coach industry. A coach is positioning themselves to stand out in their industry, which is very competitive, right? Now, it's okay, they're gonna maybe do some pretty photographs, but we wanna focus on the purpose of the photos. The photo needs to be more intentional. We are not just looking for pretty photographs. The photo might be used in certain sections of the website and have to be cropped a certain way, more horizontal photographs. What is the message that your photograph is actually conveying? And what is the message of your brand? So I would separate personal branding a little bit more than just being generic pretty photos, and to me, especially because I have a process that I take my clients, the photos are strategic. They're used as a positioning tool. They're used to create connections with your audience to show who you are, because now you are your product, right? You're selling yourself. So you have to make yourself available as a product. I think personal branding, by being intentional, then we want to find out what's relevant about you. So that's why, for me, for example, my process is that I have to understand my clients completely. I have to understand who they are as a human being. I need to understand what they do as a business. I need to understand their desires, aspirations, their plan, who they are today. So I have to analyze their online footprint. We talk about the future, where you wanted to go from today on, you know, those 2-year goals, 5-year goals, how you wanted to position yourself. Because again, it's using a little bit of the law of attraction, you know. If you have this set goal and a vision for yourself and your business, you know you're going to be there no matter what. It's a matter of time to manifest and for you to take the steps to get there. Okay?
Yep.
Start showing a little bit more where you're going and take this client on a journey with you. You can manifest and create a business faster, if that makes sense.
It does.
Let's say, for instance, I coach clients again. They are working on their TED Talk, on their signature talk. They have none booked yet, but they wanted to position themselves as a speaker. So we take a photograph as with a microphone, conveying their speaking, create a media page, create a signature talk, be ready, put on a website, start promoting, start presenting that. So you see, now you are creating an opportunity with your branding and with your photographs and with your words to magnetize those opportunities. So even if you're not there yet, but you know you will, all you have to do is to present it. So knowing what it is that you wanted to do, having the vision, expanding on the vision, which is what I do. I unearth the vision for my clients and we expand the vision. With my background in marketing and business, entrepreneurship, and being so versed in the coaching industry, I can guide my clients and curate a photo shoot to help them to position themselves the way they want.
Yeah.
Either to showcase who they are now, their energy, which is, to me, one of the most important things, is to show up authentic and show your essence. But by showing who they are, and by showing they're multidimensional, there's many facets of each person, right? That sometimes people shy away from showing online. But again, having the awareness of who your ideal client is and what they care to know about you, what's relevant. It's not just showing, again, random photographs and beautiful, pretty pictures and your food pictures. Yeah, that's fun, but there's a place for it. Now you wanted to create impressions into your audience, into your ideal audience. Now you have to be conscious of how you create content and what kind of information you're putting out there about yourself, right? So in my process, we speak about marketing strategy. So I'm a branding strategist. So I would say a good personal branding photographer would differentiate themselves from a regular photographer by including brand strategy, marketing strategy. And then taking that information to curate storylines that are relevant, not only to showcase who they truly are in the world, but also to showcase them for a specific audience that they wanted to magnetize. Therefore, creating brand impressions and through their branding, expressing themselves, showing up authentically, and attracting their ideal audience so they can be on their mission to transform the people. You know, let's create the transformation, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm very focused on the coaching industry, and I don't mean to be just focused on that, but
that's good.
Applies to any segments of the industry. If you have a personal brand, you are your products. If you are a business brand then you're going to also market those impressions, but the strategy is a little different. So now again, the difference is that it's more strategic, but in the personal branding photo shoots, we're going to photograph photos specific for the website and inventory what are those photographs, and also make suggestions. We're going to find out, what are you marketing in this calendar year? What is important for you? Is there any holiday you're celebrating? You might need to get a specific photo for promotion. So we photograph that specifically. We also wanted to add lifestyle photographs, which is like you living your best life.
Mhm.
Me, a day in Kevin's life, from the morning to the end of the day. What is your day like? What do you do? What keeps you busy? What
Mhm.
keeps you up at night? What are the passions? How can we show that to your audience? Give an inside peek of what it is like to be in your shoes. Maybe you interacting with the clients, doing the things that you love. Like maybe you behind your desk with a podcast. So keep promote the podcast. And yes, of course, you need the traditional headshots or contemporary headshot. And by the way, Kevin, a lot of people get confused with what is a headshot.
Hmm.
A headshot is just a close-up of your face, and that's what we should focus on when you have your images on your profile photos on your social media. You should have a
Hmm.
close-up of your face with just your head and shoulders, and have a signature photograph in all the touch points of all your social media. Because when people are researching and they're considering paying you top dollar for your services, or they wanted to know you before they hop on a consultation or networking or a coffee chat, whatever that is, they're going to find out who you are. And if your photo is inconsistent across the social medias, while they're platform hopping to know more about you, you make their brain burn more calories. So again, it's making those consistent impressions, having the touch points to be consistent with the same photo, same name, same information. So, it comes full circle.
That's good. Yeah, no, I think the making the brand identity consistent across platforms is very important. And I wonder, as far as like when you are working with clients, are you creating like the writing process, as far as, for instance, if you're doing a lifestyle shoot that's actually showing a person interacting? For myself, being a financial planner, maybe I'm working with a client, the creative writing process where you're trying to develop a post that's going to give people more insight to who you are. Are you typically helping entrepreneurs with that process, or is that more of a collaborative conversation where they kind of tell you, this is how I'm thinking, and just kind of ideas bouncing back and forth with
Okay.
with that strategy?
So my goal when I work with a client is to really unearth who they are,
Hmm.
their vision, and then expand on that.
That's
So
good.
we have a strategy call, which is pretty intense. It's usually between 2 to 2.5 hours, where I share my insights about their brand that I discovered through revising their online brand, what they're doing currently. They also go through a questionnaire that they have to spend about 2 hours average to filling that out. That gives them a lot of insightful questions. Once I study, and also I profile them with their branding archetype, their core energy, and the brain type, so I can better communicate with them according to their brain. Some people need a lot of details, some people don't. Branding archetype also gives me a clue of how they can show up as a brand to create, again, better communication for their audience. So they can understand themselves as a person, and how to market themselves. So take all this intelligence, all this data, show up for a strategy call, and I reflect to them who I think they are. And it's pretty much a great conversation where my clients make a lot of notes. They get a lot of insights about themselves. We make those discussions, and from that conversation, That's when we figure out their bullseye message, what they stand for as a brand, and supporting pillars. And these supporting pillars, once they're established, it helps them to market themselves with consciousness again, to write their content, to know the tone of voice, who the ideal client is, who they are, and what's relevant for them to communicate about themselves to their audience. So based on that, we schedule the photo shoot, a design and creative direct their storylines, and this aligns with their marketing. I help them to come up with ideas for their content and give them direction as far as, these are the things that are relevant to your audience, and start writing about this. And depending on the level of service, because I also consult for brands and people that wanted to continue working with me after the photo shoot. I have, right now I'm launching a website for a client who was a photography client, now became a coaching client, and now we're doing her personal brand, and I did the entire creative direction, including writing, including all of that. So, different levels of relationship that we can build to help grow the brand.
That's good. Yeah, I think that's really nice just to kind of hear the process. And I wonder, as far as, people that are just trying to look at ways of like how to get started in a lot of the things that you're doing with photography, with personal branding. What would be some advice for those that you would say that want to get kind of in the industry of some things that you've learned and have grown to do with a business? What's kind of some recommendations you would say for those want to get started?
Just know your craft. If you wanted to be an expert in your industry, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the work. See, before I launched, I did my pivot from being a portrait photographer to becoming a branding expert. I had to study a lot. I think I spent about 2 years more studying more than and creating my brand and getting that clarity, the level of clarity, doing trial and error and experimenting, and it spent tons of money hiring coaches, taking courses online, marketing courses. You really need to learn your industry. You need to learn about your ideal clients, their needs and desires, and have a system that you can take them from point A to point Z to give them what they need without having a process in place and understanding, creating everything consciously. It's difficult to succeed. So I would say, be a good photographer, but be a great psychologist, be a good person reader, because you wanted to capture the essence of the client, of course, but you also wanted to know the marketing, because that's what's going to differentiate you from being a regular photographer. If you wanted to be a personal branding photographer, you need to have a pulse on what's going on in the marketing, be current, and just know your niche of specialty, so you can be a better service for your clients. I would say just try to be the best of what you do, so you have a chance to stand out and be successful and charge more money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people doing what I do, and people charge different things. People charge way less than what I do. Some people charge more than what I do. So I'm kind of in the middle, but I think it's a high level service, and and when you start, you got to start somewhere. So in my case, when I started doing my first personal branding shoots, I realized, wow, this is a totally different animal.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't actually go deeper and find out how these photos are going to be used, if I don't have a plan for curating this, high level, these photos are not going to be helpful for my clients. And I see clients that come to me who had experiences like that. Like, Carolina, I had these lavish photo shoots, super well produced. The photos are beautiful, but I can't use them in my marketing. They just don't go hand in hand. It's just pretty, but not helpful.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I have my clients whom I photographed 3 years ago, where created content in one day for a whole year, because they're super well curated, Oh, but guess what? 3 years after, they're still using their photographs because they're so well thought. They encapsulate their energy so well, and they can be repurposed. 3 years
Repurpose it.
in, they're still using their photographs.
Hmm. Yeah, I think repurposing content, a lot of people don't really think about that, and it makes it a lot easier for yourself as being a conscious creator where you can take just previous history of, photos and conversations that you might have, videos, that you have done, and you can repurpose it. So I think that's, very important. But I kind of wanted to, as we're coming to like a close here, kind of want to just get like, what's your vision for just Carolina, Luna Photography and everything you're doing from a marketing and branding standpoint? What are some things that you're looking forward to doing just this year, or just kind of looking, forward, in the future for your brand?
Oh, thanks for asking.
Right.
I'm actually expanding. My business is growing, and onboarding now a few people into my team. I have big plans for this year, Kevin. I'm expanding to a small bespoke agency to create personal brands. So again, that I'm going to continue doing this as my specialty. I just love helping people have it all. And I find that after the photo shoots, a lot of people now have to explain everything that they learn and explain themselves to like a website company or to their social media team. So my goal is to provide this high level service, continue with them. Because once, it's not an overnight process to create a personal brand photo shoot. The process is about 4 to 6 weeks. So, but in less than 2 months, you end up with photography for the whole year of contents, and a deep understanding of your brand, and also with photo assets, you can delegate for your team to create your social media calendar in advance, right? But now, by expanding, I'll be able to offer also the website rebrand or create a website for them, create a personal brand in tandem with their business brand, and find a way to strategically do that. And so we can continue that relationship and keep everything in house instead of having to again, try
Outsource.
to replicate what we learn elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it's good, being able to vertically integrate and have more of your process in-house, that definitely will just kind of help down the line. But yeah, I think that's a lot of exciting things that you're working on, and I'll definitely be paying a lot of attention. I wish you nothing but success and just a great, 2023. I think everything that you're doing with your brand just has given me a lot of insight of some things that I want to work on with everything that I'm creating as well. But how can the audience just connect with you if they are interested in your products or services? How can they go online and actually learn about having a conversation with you?
Okay, awesome. They can go to my website, which is my hub, carolinalunafotography.com. You can find me on social media, on LinkedIn and Instagram. Just look for me over there. You find all the information you need about me and how to connect on my website. And if you wanted to get some help in how to curate and create an outstanding personal brand, reach out and let's have a conversation via Zoom and see how I can support you.
Thank you so much for that, Carolina. And I'm going to put all of her information in the show notes, everyone, so you'll be able to reach out and connect with her. But I thank you all so much for, watching and listening, and take care.
Thank you for hosting this.
No problem.
Thank you.